Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about diabetes insipidus. A patient with diabetes insipidus suffers with polyuria, polydipsia. Okay. Now, when do we call it as polyuria? Polyuria is if urine output is more than 5 ml per kg per hour, or if it is more than 2 liters per meter square per 24 hours, then you can call it as polyuria. Polyuria is if urine output is more than 5 milliliters per kg per hour, or if it is more than 2 liters per kg per hour, then you can call it as polyuria. Right? This polyuria is a feature of diabetes insipidus. The diabetes insipidus is divided into two types. One, we have central diabetes insipidus. Second, we have acquired diabetes insipidus. In central diabetes insipidus, there are genetic causes, or it can be central diabetes insipidus or nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, central diabetes insipidus occurs mainly due to the deficiency of the hormone vasopressin. Okay, there is ADH deficiency results in central diabetes insipidus. This central diabetes insipidus occurs due to genetic causes, acquired causes, or it can be due to trauma, some congenital malformations like pulmonary apoplexy, or some other malformations like Stark syndrome, Empty-Sella syndrome. Okay, all those can result in central diabetes insipidus. Tumors like pituitary adenoma, craniopharyngioma, or Langerhans cell histiocytoma, these will invade the pituitary gland, thus causing thus decreasing the production of ADH. Okay, some drugs like chemotherapy can also destroy or injure the pituitary gland. Then nephrogenic diabetes insipidus is due to the problem in there is resistance to this ADH. So the receptors, there is problem in receptors, that the receptors will not recognize the antidiuretic hormone. So in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, the antidiuretic hormone is present in the body, but yet it is not recognized by the body because of resistance. So nephrogenic diabetes insipidus can also be due to genetic causes, or it can be due to acquired causes. These can also be due to drugs, and important, if there is any kidney disease. Obviously the problem here is in kidney, because the kidneys, the receptors in the kidney are not able to recognize the antidiuretic hormone. So this kidney disease can also result in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, or in sickle cell disease, which also which can also cause nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Now, the diagnosis of this nephrogenic diabetes insipidus is by two things. There will be low urine osmolarity, that is less than 600 milliosmoles per kg. There will be less than 600 milliosmoles per kg, that is low urinary osmolality, and because of more loss of urine loss of fluids in the urine, the serum or plasma concentration will be high. So there will be high plasma osmolality, that is around more than 300 milliosmoles per kg. So this is the diagnostic criteria, that is low urine osmolality, which is less than 600 milliosmoles per kg, and high plasma osmolality, which is more than 300 milliosmoles per kg. Then we have in order to differentiate the psychogenic polydipsia from diabetes insipidus, we give water deprivation test. Here we ask the patient to not to drink water, and once if he does not drink water, if there is decrease in urine output, if there is decrease in polyuria, then that is psychogenic then that will tell us it is a psychogenic diabetes, psychogenic polydipsia. But if there is polyuria is present, that means even after deprivation or stopping the water intake, there is polyuria, which will confirm that it is diabetes insipidus. So this test will differentiate between the psychogenic polydipsia and diabetes insipidus. Second, we have vasopressin response test. This vasopressin response test is mainly to differentiate central diabetes insipidus and nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Here you administer vasopressin to the patient. If there is central diabetes insipidus, then once the main problem defect in central diabetes insipidus is deficiency of vasopressin. So once you administer vasopressin to the patient, you will see that there will be increased urine osmolality or decreased polyuria is seen, and increased urine osmolality by 50% is seen. Then this is central diabetes insipidus. If this is not seen, that means still if there is polyuria and urine output is low, then that means the problem is not in the vasopressin but in the receptors. So that is nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Okay, now how are you going to treat this diabetes insipidus? If it is central diabetes insipidus, then we have to give vasopressin analogs, because the defect is in vasopressin. So you give vasopressin analogs. One of it is desmopressin. If it is nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, then you can give thiazides or indomethacin can be given, and we can do salt restrictions can be given. So these are the important points about diabetes insipidus. Thank you for watching.